A new transgender evil. You gotta listen to what my guest is fighting in this LGBTQ madness. And before I get into more of that, I want to quickly mention, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt at edify.app, at Real Life Network, at WashingtonTimes.com, where you may also subscribe to my 3 times a week newsletter. It's called Bold and Blunt with Cheryl Chumley. You go to the bottom of the WashingtonTimes.com webpage, click on the newsletter section, find my newsletter, and just enter your email address. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out all the other great newsletter products that the Washington Times offers. There are very many to choose from. You should choose them all, starting with Bold and Blunt, but at least scroll around, check them out. Have some great stuff on there that you're going to want to subscribe to. Bold and Blunt comes to your email box Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it contains my commentaries, my Bold and Blunt audio podcasts, as well as my Bold and Blunt video versions. Check it out. Love to have you subscribe. If you already are a subscriber, just really thank you. Thank you very much for your support. I truly appreciate it. You may also get Bold and Blunt, of course, wherever podcasts are available. Just when you thought the transgender madness couldn't get any worse, here comes a new campaign taking place down in the southern state of Florida. My guest has some interesting news to share about the latest disgusting evil that the transgender movement is bringing forward. But first, I want to just play this clip. Megyn Kelly had an interview on Bill Maher's show, and in it she describes really succinctly and really perfectly why this transgender evil is one of the biggest evils we are facing in America. It's not just something that's a blip on the radar or something that will blow by or something that will even naturally subside with the incoming new Trump administration. It's something that really needs to be actively fought. And who knows better how to fight this than conservative, Christian, patriotic Americans? We have to use our voices. We have to stand strong against this. And we have to stop pretending as if it's some sort of tolerance to allow, for instance, little boys to whack off body parts when they're 11, 12, 13 years old, to pretend to become something they're not, something that God did not make them to be. And then when they discover it at some later stage in life that they can't actually be what they had hoped to be and had tried to be via medical procedures, then they fall into a deep, dark depression, and we all say, well, it's because the world is not tolerating the lie that we let you in the first place perpetrate upon yourself. So we really need to speak up bolder, stronger, louder, and with full awareness that this isn't just a free choice that children and youth and even adults make, but it's actually a choice to go down a path of lies and deception and darkness, and we need to stop selling it as something that is actually good. Love is love, tolerance, acceptance for all. It's not that. It's of Satan. It's demonic. And let me just play this clip. Megyn Kelly on Bill Maher's show, picking it up under Elon Musk's feed on Twitter. Here we go.
Almost equally important, maybe as important, is what we're doing to our children with this trans insanity. I mean, this is almost my single issue. We are chopping off the healthy body parts of young children without, 100% we are doing that.
Well, we are definitely doing that.
Without any inquisition.
That's what it is. So
into
I don't
what's
know what
happening.
the oohing is about.
I don't either. Pay attention, because I'm about to give you a truth bomb. Kids who are suffering from bullying or who have been sexually assaulted or who are going through normal puberty and feel uncomfortable in their bodies will say to their parents, I'm not sure, maybe I'm gender confused. They will send them into a psychiatrist or psychologist who are told by our organizations, the American Psychiatry Association, and all the others that run their licensing, you must affirm. Affirm is the only standard. And so the child gets told, you're right, you are secretly a boy or a...
And you know, that's just a separate evil in itself. The fact that our medical and psychological associations have become so corrupted by this demonic force, by this demonic deception, that they actually actively encourage parents to allow their minor age children to make these decisions. We don't even let kids buy cigarettes, for crying out loud. We don't even let kids drink alcohol. I mean, there are so many rules and regulations against what we allow kids to do nowadays, but yet we will allow them to make life-altering medical decisions based on natural feelings of angst that teens go through anyhow. I don't know any teen anywhere ever who was absolutely happy with who they are or were in their teen years, in their growing years. That's part of teendom, right? So why would we as a nation allow somebody in such a vulnerable situation already to make a decision that's going to impact them for life? And our medical communities, our psychological associations, our pediatrician experts actually rubber stamp this. Disgusting, disgusting and evil. Back to Megan and Bill Maher's interview. Here we go.
Vice versa. And the child gets put on puberty blockers, into cross-sex hormones, which sterilize a child and deprive the child of any chance of sexual pleasure for the rest of his or her life. We're talking about 9, 10, 11-year-olds who cannot give informed consent. Then they have body parts chopped off by a medical establishment and by parents who mean well but believe in these doctors, and they shouldn't. And when they inevitably get past the awkwardness of puberty or what have you, and they want to turn around and detransition, those who love bomb them on Reddit saying, come on in, the water's fine, abandon them. They are depressed. They have changed their bodies forever in a way that is irreversible. And we are all sitting back saying, it's a remote issue, as Kamala Harris said. It's not remote. It's the issue of our time, both with respect to children and women's rights.
That is such a succinct characterization of the evil of this whole trans movement. And it's something that we really need to pay attention to, because we're destroying our children, right? We're exploiting our children, and we're allowing Satan to win this battle. To be honest, we didn't nip it in the bud early on because we were afraid of seeming intolerant. We thought it was a private family decision, maybe. We thought it was a personal medical choice. Or maybe we just didn't recognize it for what it was, because there's so much confusion clouding the issue anyhow, right? You know, this whole pronoun thing, call me cis, call me it, call me what. It's confusing. And the fact that you are confused by it really just shows that you're the sane one in the room, because the LGBTQ agenda and their enablers have really tried hard to confuse the situation so people could not fight back against it with any sort of effectiveness. But seriously, Donald Trump's coming into the White House. We are going to get a reprieve on certain insanities that the Democrats have thrust upon us for so many years. But the transgender issue is not going to go away automatically. It's something that's going to require concerted, bold pushback from those who know better, which is to say anybody who is walking around not heavily medicated and sane enough to see that little kids should not be allowed to cut off body parts and pretend like they can change their sex and then suffer the consequences for the rest of their lives. We need people who see that as the evil as it is to call it out as evil. And I have a guest today. She's been a guest before on Bold and Blonde. She's actually somebody I love chatting with. She's so inspirational, but very, very interesting. Just a very interesting person. Her name is Kelley Yates, and she has started this new organization called Classy Conservatives. She is actually an etiquette coach, an etiquette expert, and really in this day of etiquette, embracing that whole sort of tolerant love is love, let's dive into the pretend deceptions that the LGBTQ community has pushed forth and actually call those who want to be called by, select pronouns because it's the polite thing to do. She actually is one of the only voices in the etiquette field who is standing strong against this madness. And she has started this new initiative, The Power of One. I love this. If you're wondering what can you do to fight back against the LGBTQ evil agenda, well, Kelley Yates has a story to tell, and here she is. Kelley, thank you so much for being on Bold and Blonde. It is so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me back on, Cheryl.
I'm fascinated by this endeavor that you have started. You are director of Lady Etiquette. You are the author of The Art of a Feminine Lady. But what you're really actively involved in right now is fighting against the LGBTQ agenda that has infiltrated and corrupted our society. So talk about your latest endeavor, Classy Conservatives, the new movement that you began.
Yes, I started Classy Conservatives about 6 months ago, just to meet up once a month with like-minded people. And I give presentations. I love educating people. And it's a wonderful movement. I'm really enjoying it. But I started recently a petition on change.org to fight back against the pride events that are being hosted in children's parks. Because what we are seeing in these children's parks are a sexual fetish, and that doesn't belong in a children's park. I was absolutely outraged. The last straw for me came right here. I didn't expect it in our small, quaint town. This is like a hallmark town. We moved here for the conservative values, and
do you want to give the town name where you are?
Yes, Fernandina Beach.
Okay.
And about 4 years ago, they started a Pride Festival in the children's park. And it's all people, they advertise, that come from out of town. It's not really people that live here. And there was some people that stood up. I didn't at the time because I wasn't here. But I was very unhappy and I was shocked that this was happening. And then I saw some photographs that really alarmed me. And it was men with this dog mask and leather belts. And I had to look it up because I'd never heard of this before. And it was BDSM, sadomasochism, in a children's park. Wow. And I was so taken back and just absolutely appalled. How is this allowed? In a children's park. It's right by where they have their children's play area. There's swings and everything. So that's where they decide to host it, because that's what they always want to do. You see, be close to the children, Satan wants to be near the children, near the church. So I started a petition on change.org to make it ID required. Because I realized, if you go into a sex shop or a strip club, they actually have a more respectable environment because they have standards to protect children. They would not tolerate this in a sex shop or a strip club. In Florida, you have to be 18 to go into a sex shop, 21 into a strip club. But, what we're seeing being played out in the children's park is actually far worse than what you would see in a sex shop, because it's men walking around, sadomasochism, paedophilia, and equality isn't celebrating a sexual fetish in a children's park. And they hide behind all these words, you see, equality and gay. And, even they have gays against groomers now that have called them out. It's just, it's so divided now, isn't it? The LGBTQIA, the rainbow mafia, and it just goes on every day. There's a new letter being added. But the trans flag, for example, that was designed by a transvestite who fantasized about children, had sexual fantasies about children, and wrote disturbing books about children and stole women's underwear. Oh. And that's what they're giving out to children in the pride parks, in the pride events. But so I would like to stop it. And anyway, I started the petition, and then it was taken down after garnering hundreds of signatures.
Taken down by the organization, by the left wing.
Yes, because it's a left-wing organization based in San Francisco. And when I looked to see if they had the opposite on there, I was so horrified to see they had, Black Trans Lives Matter and all these different petitions paying for transvestites to have surgery. I call them transvestites, not transgender, because I don't play this made-up woke nonsense game where they keep, changing the language. When you change the language, you change the mindset, so sin is normalized and accepted in society. Just like, what they're doing with the paedophile word, because they always say love is love. Well, if love is love, it's perfectly fine to love and lust after a child. Right. And that's why they want to change the word paedophile to minor attracted person. And it's really demonic, but a lot of people haven't figured out, they know it's wrong, conservatives know it's wrong, but they don't realize it. This is child exploitation. It's worse than a lot of people realize. And there should be an age requirement. It's a perfectly rational, sane, stance to take. And I'm sure strip clubs and sex shops would all agree with me. These people that run these places, because they have standards. They don't want children exposed to paedophilia, sexual fetish in a children's park. And this is what is going to these parks, these unstable men. And they're putting women and children at risk, because when these transvestites go, they go into the women's restrooms, they're getting up close to the children. And it's, there's an unnecessary lawsuit, nasty lawsuits waiting to happen.
I would say as little as even 20 years ago that parents who stood by and allowed or actually brought their children to such displays would come under the investigation of social services and potentially have their children taken away for exposing them to an abusive environment. And here we are, what you describe is exactly the normalization of evil.
Yes, they're very clever at doing that. But the good news is I've now safeguarded my petition, and I've put it on classyconservatives.org. And we've taken it a step further, because we were just focusing on our small town, but now I'm focusing on the great state of Florida, because paedophilia doesn't belong in any state, in any children's park. It should be free, right? The freedom state, free of paedophilia in a children's park. And I'm focusing, of course, I would love to focus on everywhere, right? But I think it would be easier to focus on this state. It's a conservative state. And then hopefully, if we win, we'll create a trickling effect where the other states can follow suit.
So your website is classyconservatives.org with /petition added onto it. And I know that you were talking about the men pretending to be, not even men pretending to be women, men dressed in beady, what is the acronym for that?
Well, they're misogynistic transvestites that think women are a costume.
It's so hard to keep abreast of the latest language.
Well, they like to call them transgender or drag queen, but I just call them transvestites, because you cannot change your God-given sex. You can only mutilate your body, and I don't play that pretend game.
So they're dressed in sexually suggestive outfits, and they are parading.
Well, they dress like women of the night. Have you noticed? They always dress like strippers, like the real, cheap strippers. They're always, demeaning women. And these people, they think this is okay to host this in a children's park and invade our private spaces and be up close to children playing on their swings.
Yes. And,
I have photographs of these men in bondage with a child holding up a flag. It's shocking.
It just goes along with what we've been seeing across the nation, right? You're talking about these these men in parks. But, we've also seen the videos of the drag queen shows that parents actually bring their kids to into bars and eating establishments, and their children participate in these drag shows. We're seeing these things go forth in public libraries across America. So an endeavor like yours, I think it's great because it shows, first off, the power of one to actually take action. And second off, it's fighting a direct evil that has just seeped in and become normalized across our nation.
Yes, it really is. It's very evil. Satan is working very hard right now. And one of the scenes that really outraged me was when I saw them using the Lord's cross as a strip pole.
Oh, wow.
And they're desecrating religious symbols everywhere. Did you see that? There's videos you can see on YouTube.
I have seen that, yes.
Yeah, they're going up and down the Lord's cross practically naked. And then you've got the nuns, the drag nuns. And they're always attacking Christ, Christians. But do you know what I find even more disturbing than all of this? Is that there's not enough Christians standing up for our faith. Where are they? And that's really what empowered me. I recently came back from a Christian retreat that made me feel, very empowered. And I've always been a Christian, but I tell you what, all this going on has definitely made me have a closer relationship with God.
And it's fascinating to me how you first entered this cultural battle, because your area of expertise is etiquette. Because
a lot of people don't understand. But Cheryl, etiquette comes, right from the Ten Commandments. They're the golden etiquette rules. And a lot of people don't realize that. They're the standard etiquette rules. The breaking of the bread at the Last Supper, that's a classic dining etiquette rule that we use, where we don't use the knife to break into the bread. But it has a lot of religious connotations. And it's all about standards, which, the Democrats are always fighting against standards because liberalism is, we can just do anything we want. You're not committing it. Look at Whoopi Goldberg. She just said, that you shouldn't get punished for committing a crime. It's okay if you've committed a crime. Hunter Biden, I think she was talking about Hunter Biden, said, no, it's fine because, he's got a drug problem, so he can get away with it, because he's got a drug problem. It's like, no, I don't think so. He should go to jail.
And your fellow etiquette experts have taken a decidedly different tact on this, because they think that, and I've read the books myself. I've read the etiquette books from some others in your field who say that you should actually recognize how they want to refer to themselves, either as male or female. You should recognize their preferred pronouns. And you say that that is all opening the door to this evil path that we are walking culturally now.
Yes, because they're progressive liberal feminists. They're activists as well. They're teaching a load of made-up woke nonsense. They're not teaching etiquette. They're teaching the pretend pronouns. Etiquette's all about respecting your true self, the best version of yourself, and being confident in yourself. Not being something that you would never be truly accepted in society. It's disgraceful. They're also trying to eradicate chivalry, such as they do it in a sneaky way, such as anybody can pull the chair for anybody. It's not, they're trying to take away, our roles in society. I'm standing up against that in my own way. And it's a shame. A lot of people don't realize, because they do it in a sneaky way, just like Disney.
Yes.
They sneak everything in.
Yes. And they paint it with a broad brushstroke of, it's all happy, it's all good. If it feels good, then it must come from God, because love is love is love, and so forth. And I'm just curious, what kind of support system have you had for this petition that you have launched? Have you heard good things from people? Are they signing it?
Yes, they are. I'm getting quite a few people signing up, but I really haven't done much. I've put it on the website. I'm getting ready to do a video next week, waiting for my cameraman to come back. And then I would be more active as well, getting out there. We're just, you have to trust in God, and I think when you believe God, when you believe and you have faith, God will help you.
And when you look ahead, just to wrap up with this, Kelley, when you look ahead at the new administration coming in, completely different on LGBTQ agendas in this present administration, I don't expect we're going to see any pride flags hanging from the White House under Donald Trump. But when you look ahead to this new administration, do you feel buoyed by, motivated by what you see as possibly bringing about a cultural shift, a return to sanity?
Yes, that's helped me as well, giving me more optimism with this petition, because we have Trump coming back. I'm very happy about that. I have a skip in my walk when I'm walking down the road. It's just wonderful. A lot to celebrate, but I am disappointed. We have got 2 trans activists that got on our city board recently when they had the elections. I tried to expose them. I actually wrote a couple of articles on classy conservatives about them, but I don't think it got out in time, and not enough people. It's a relatively new website. Only got the website up a couple of months ago. But, I'm going to I won't give up. I'm going to keep on exposing them, what they're doing. And, I actually went to the city and spoke for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And that was kind of hard for me because I've never done anything like that before, and it's out of my comfort zone. But I went on my own, and it was packed in there because it was their first meeting, the new candidates. And I did speak out about this in a children's park, how disgraceful it is.
And what did people say?
Well, I did get a lot of people commenting on Facebook, Classy Conservatives, because it's more local than Instagram. And people are disgusted. That's when they started signing the petition, you see.
Good.
And I did garner hundreds of signatures, and then it was abruptly taken down. So, but this is safeguarded, so nobody's taking this sucker down.
Well, let me give that website one more time so people can go to it, because anybody can sign on, right? You don't have to
Yes,
be
yes.
Okay. It's Classy Conservatives, classyconservatives.org/petition, and I encourage everyone to go there and check it out.
Yes, I call it Classy Conservatives because we keep it classy and not nasty. And if you look, we have a logo on there. I got this logo designed. A lot of people don't understand it. But what it represents, it's the American flag, because we're patriotic, we respect and love our country. But it's the shape of a peacock's feather. And peacocks are very bold and proud birds. And I would like, Christians, conservatives, to be more proud of being a conservative, Christian, and more emboldened, like a peacock. It's quite bold, and they flounce around. They're very proud. Like, look at me, and it's like not hide from it. I have 2 businesses. I have Lady Etiquette and Swan Swimwear. I launched a retro swimwear line last year. And I couldn't be more proud to be a conservative Christian lady, and not hide from it. We shouldn't, politics. A lot of people get very defensive, and they think it's something to be ashamed of. But it used to be kind of that way, I guess, but not anymore, because it's got so radical. And it's all about good and evil now.
It is.
We're seeing it in our culture, and I had an acute awareness of this with my etiquette business, because I study, culture and society, and it was a big wake-up call for me when I saw this movement happening with the pretend pronouns and trying to take away our proper honorific titles. And there's no honor in pretend pronouns, lying, and everything's a lie with them.
And you hit the nail right on the head when you ask, why aren't Christians more open about their faith and about fighting this evil agenda? I think that's really what it takes to reel it back. And I'm so glad.
Yes.
I'm so glad to have your voice on Bold and Blunt, because, as I said, I love talking with people who just take it on themselves to fight something in their own community because they know it's the right thing to do. And you do that, Kelley. It's such an inspiration to me. Kelley Yates, your website again, classyconservatives.org. Thank you so much for being on Bold and Blunt, and thank you for continuing this fight.
Oh, thank you for all you do. I think you're wonderful, and I really admire you and your work. And we just need more strong, classy conservatives in this world, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And thank you for those kind words. You know, Kelley also just launched a swimwear collection, classy conservative swimwear, right? The website is swansswimwear.com. Check it out. It's got some good stuff there. I want to thank you for listening. Remind you, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt at edify.app, at washingtontimes.com, at Real Life Network, and, of course, wherever podcasts are available. Tune in next time. In the meanwhile, don't forget, stay blunt, stay bold.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.